Hey, welcome. This is Karl Bryan coming at you from the mean streets of the island. Today I'm going to explain to you how to go to a networking function and get a client every single time. The problem that business coaches have when they go to a networking function, number one is you got to acknowledge that it's the sandbox. What I mean by that is you're going to find the realtor, the mortgage broker, the financial guy or gal, the insurance guy or gal. And that's okay, but they're probably not what I would call the ideal coaching clients. Might sign up, look to get some motivation, and then in 90 days, magically, they've moved on to other things. And in some cases, they haven't. But generally speaking, it's smaller businesses, clawing their way to decent profitability. The other problem is that they go without a strategic objective. As an example, we were just working on something as an internal team. What you need to have is a pre-meeting plan, you need to have an at-meeting plan, and then a post-meeting plan, okay? That's how you make the most of your networking function. What would it look like? I would do homework on the likely attendees of that specific group. Right? In fact, actually prior to that, what I would do is I would research networking groups to go to. Like you'll find BNI, you'll find competitors to BNI, you'll find that the golf course has got a mixer, the chamber's got a mixer, the yacht club might have a mixer, the oil and gas club might have a mixer. It depends if your city. If you're in Houston, there's an oil and gas mixer, and if you're, and the other side of the country, probably not. But there's going to be lots of do your homework and find the different events that you could go to, both online and offline. But I'm more specifically talking about, say, an offline BNI type thing. So pre-meeting, so now I've identified the groups, I calendarize them, maybe step 2, actually put them on my calendar, because if it doesn't go on your calendar, guess what? It's not going to happen. And then I would do some homework on the types of businesses and the businesses that are likely about to show up. And if you do a little bit of homework online, you'll probably be able to see the exact members of that group, right? I would also get the organizer of the event. I would phone them and I would say, look, just want to do my homework. I want to show up prepared. I was wondering if you could tell me the types of businesses and the business owners that are going to be attending. And keeping in mind also that might be like your ideal joint venture partner. But anyways, that's what I would, pre-meeting. I would also make my plan as to what my hook is going to be. Offer to find everybody $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. Are you going to maybe do you have a book coming out and you're looking for some case studies to put in the back and you want to interview some folks, and that would be a good way to start a relationship. What I'm really going there trying to do is build some rapport, build a database, and build some relationships. I also want to go there and deliver value. So when I speak to somebody one-to-one, I would have some canned examples that I'm going to throw out that I know in like a matter of minutes could have impact and maybe shake, their understanding of what is and is not possible with their business and some things that they might have horrifically wrong. An example of that, maybe I gave in a video recently. If they have 20% margins and then you increase them to 30%, the naked eye sees a 10% improvement. If you made $100,000 profit last year, that's $10,000, right? Which is not bad. If you charge, $20,000 a year for your coaching, you're halfway there and presumably doing great. But the magic is 20 to 30 is not 10. You probably know that it's 50, right? 20 to 22 would be 10, 20 to 24 would be 20, 20 to 26 would be 30, yada. 20 to 30 is a 50% improvement. So if they made $100,000 last year, guess what? You increase their margins from 20 to 30%, and you just made an impact of $50,000. If you charge $20,000, and let's presume that that's not that complicated, and you could do that within 90 days, and frankly, with some effort and some training, you could probably do that in less than 30 days, because It's just not what they're concentrating on. They're worried about Facebook ads, not their margins. Mistake, which you might be able to highlight. Remember, a real mentor can tell you what not to do. But at the end of the day, if you explain that to them, they just went, oh my gosh, like he's right. And he went 20 to 30 and I was thinking 10. And then you explain to them that it's 50. That might jog them a little bit. Understanding I could go on. There's lots of fundamental. I'll rely on your expertise and your understanding of business building, coaching, consulting. And if you did our training, we'd show you. But at the end of the day, you're just going to give some high level examples that they will go, oh wow. You're going to literally educate that person when you speak to them and turn them into appointments. So before I go, I've got those canned examples is what I just said and meant. So pre-meeting, I've got my elevator pitch. I've practiced it. I know you think you know your elevator pitch. You don't know it until I can wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you can spit it out like that. No questions asked, right? Like an example, I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. I don't know, at 3 a.m., no worries. And not only could I say it, but I could say it with enthusiasm. So at the end of the day, boom, pre-meeting, I'm doing my homework. I'm organizing my elevator pitch. I'm establishing my hook that's going to make people want more information. Like $100,000 in 45 minutes without spending a dollar on marketing or advertising. I could say that to Tony Robbins, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Ray Dalio, Michael Dell, you name it. They're going to raise their eyebrow. How do you do that? Well, my hook just did its job. I'm not there to deliver. I'm there to lace a hook so that they want more information. And that gets me an appointment. That gets me on the phone. That takes me to the next step, right? So that's pre-meeting. At meeting, I deliver my elevator pitch. I want to be interesting, but I'd rather be interested, or it's more important that you're interested than interesting, right? Again, a mistake people make. It's all about you, and you're just there to get a client, and that's that, and that's a mistake. So at the meeting, be there 15 minutes early, and then plan to be there for 30 minutes afterwards. That's important. Hopefully that's incredibly straightforward and obvious, but get there 15 minutes early and kind of, hobnob, build rapport. So that's the at meeting. And your strategic objective is to get yourself 3 follow-ups. And remember, do you want to give out your business card and your coordinates, or do you want to collect them? And the answer is sort of both, but if given the option of one or the other, I'm collecting yours times 1,000,000, no question. So there's that. That's the at. And now post. What's your text? What's your email? What does your follow-up look like? And then very importantly, if I do get you on the phone, so you went to the networking function, and then I set up a 15-minute call where I wanted to explain a couple of things or further expand upon my offering, my hook. Run over. That 15 minutes, again, you got to have these canned examples, okay? You go to listen to Tony Robbins talk, and you ever notice that he uses the same examples over and over and over and over and over and over, like literally for 20, 25 years, right? Well, there's a reason. Like, watch him talk about, he's got his book out, Life Force, great book. Watch an interview, and he's going to talk about snowboarding with some young folks, okay? It's not by accident, right? Strategic, intelligent. He's going to talk about his shoulder injury. He's going to talk about going to multiple doctors, and then them all insisting that he needs surgery, and then he didn't need surgery at all, right? Well, you think it's by accident that he delivers that same story? You've heard the Thanksgiving story. 11 years old, knock on the door. His family wasn't going to starve, but they weren't having a massive Thanksgiving dinner. And the guy knocked on the door, and then it was focus, meaning, do. I talked about this in another video. But Tony's dad focused on, this is charity. What's the meaning? I'm a loser. What am I going to do? I'm going to leave his family, which he did. Tony Robbins, focus, meaning, do. He focused on strangers care. Wow, there's food. The meaning is strangers care. What's he going to do? And he's fed, millions and tens and tens of millions, I guess, tens and tens of millions of disadvantaged youth like himself. Just got to my favorite place, possibly on planet Earth, apart from my home. Number one beach in the world, ladies and gentlemen. So he's got those canned examples. So my question is, do you have them? And what will happen, the problem is that you deliver these examples over and over and over again, and you start to think to yourself, oh, nobody wants to hear these examples. Everybody knows this stuff. And that would be categorically incorrect. And quite the opposite. Ooh, the waves are coming up today. Quite the opposite. What's going to happen is that you get better and better and better at delivering these stories that, by the way, need to turn into examples, need to turn into metaphors, need to turn into learning objectives for your audience, right? Like that's Tony Robbins. When you listen to Tony Robbins talk, it's just a series of stories. It's a series of questions and a series of stories. When I listen to you talk, so forget Tony Robbins, when I listen to you talk, is it a series of lessons, metaphors, and stories? And the answer is probably no. Well, are you going to correct that? Are you going to start to create these stories, right? So that would be post. So that 15-minute call, that meeting that I get with you needs to be, you need to have a strategic approach. You need to have some canned examples. You got to be ready to go for that. So that's what I would say. And the last thing that I would say also, I want to build, if I want to get with you, look, people like themselves. And you've probably heard, if you want to increase your conversions, you got to increase your opening, okay? Which is another way of saying your ability to build rapport. How do you build rapport in record time? And this is how, when I go to a networking function, I crush it. I do two things. I like and I relate. You know what? I'm gonna go for a little walksy here, because these waves are high and I'm gonna get washed away. So I like and relate. How do I do that? I like something. I like your hat. I like your shoes. I like your elevator pitch. I like the way you solved that problem. I like the way you answered that question. I like the way you handled that meeting. I like the way you handled that objection. I like the way you handled that confrontation. You were running that meeting, and I thought you did a really good job of handling that confrontation. I like you. If I get into your office, I like your office. I like the picture on your wall. I love to picture your kids, right? Like people like themselves. So I'm liking things. And you got to do this in a sincere and genuine way, or you just look like a jerk off. Don't do that, right? You got to be sincere and genuine. So the other one, so I like, and by the way, again, be genuine about it, right? But start your reticular activating system, start looking for things to like, right? And now I want to relate. Oh, wow. You're from the country. I'm from the country. I grew up in the country on an acreage. You've got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids. You went to that college. My oldest kid went to that college. You went to that high school. My grandmother grew up in that same town. You've got a chiropractic business. I used to have a chiropractic business. My friend is one of the best chiropractors in the entire city. One of my clients was one of the top chiropractors, XYZ. So I'm relating, right? So, you're looking for commonality. I was trying to say. So like, you got to build rapport. When you build rapport, because you finish the meeting, what's the threat? You meet these people, you build a database, feel like you built a relationship, you send a text, you send an email, you send your follow-up, and then they don't reply. Well, there's a significantly higher rate of return, higher probability that they engage if you were strategic in this manner, that you like some stuff, they're like, oh, wow. And they're not going to realize what you're doing. It's like mirroring and pacing, right? Like, nobody knows you're doing it, just so you know. So that's what I got. So you go to a network, and you are in the sandbox. If you're going to the local networking group, generally speaking, you're in the sandbox. These are going to be smaller businesses: realtor, mortgage broker, insurance, finance, the hair salon, maybe the landscaper. These are going to be companies clawing up towards $1 million. The chances of finding a $10 million business there, highly remote, but that's okay. Just understand that that's where you're at. And some of those clients can frankly be the absolute best. Some of them will start a little slower than others as a result of, their profits, and the cash at the end of the month is not what they would ideally be in order to pay your fees. So So that's all I got for you today, guys. If you want to network like a superstar, follow that bit of advice. That's it for me today. Bye-bye.